What's happening, people? Welcome to the Added Value Podcast, the biggest show on the net. I'm Jason, the self-titled superstar Jay.
I'm J-Ron, the slumlord. Pick up my tenants.
Welcome to the positivity area, the upliftment corner, the spot where you get the good vibes every time. Yeah, this is Added Value. What we doing there? Well, we're bringing upliftment and positivity, like we said. And I feel like let's just have something different on the algorithm, you know what I mean? Where it's not just who did this, who did that, negative this, negative that.
There's some balance to the world, yeah?
Some balance to the world. But yeah, I want to take the time to big up the subscribers. You know, we're growing and yeah, we love it. We love to see it. So yeah, if you ain't a member, smash that subscribe button and tune in and yeah, let's get it. I'm from Lewisham. I come from a place where I'd say it's rough, you know, because the influences that you would see naturally are negative influences. All the people that are celebrated and what it seemed like it was doing well when we was coming up was people that were doing bad things, you know, trappers and scammers and them kind of things where that's the life that we was coming up and we were seeing. And thank God I got exposed to different things and I even had a mind of my own to understand that certain roles that other people were playing weren't the role for me.
Yeah, now for me, I won't say my area was the roughest, so I grew up in Tower Hamlets, but it wasn't so much the roughness, there weren't so much in terms of the trappers, obviously that was there, but it weren't as prevalent. But what I say about Tower Hamlets was, Tower Hamlets is one of the poorest boroughs in London. I think for me, it was poverty. But growing up, it didn't look like it was just what I knew. So it's not that you didn't see it. I just knew that's what I knew. So it didn't look like poverty to me. Yeah, I knew it weren't riches and I knew it weren't wealth. But yeah, just exposed to that level of poverty in terms of the flats and the housing, poor conditions. Even the flat that I lived in, going in pissy lifts. Even see dog shitting lifts and things like that. So yeah, for me, it was just surrounded by the poverty. And I think for me, it just, a lot of people that I was around, it just limits their view and what they can see and what they're exposed to.
Yeah. Well, the only reason why I want to go back in time is because, like I said, I don't want people thinking that we're here and we ain't of the world, we haven't seen what's going on. And it had me thinking about a time where, this is years ago, when we was younger and we was on the estate, and there's loads of us, we had friends all on the estate. And one of my friends, his uncles come, and his uncle's coming, playing big music in his big car, boom, doom, 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 you know what I mean, coming to the area. And obviously everybody's looked up to him because he's doing things, and we're like, yeah, this is what it is. This is what we're seeing in the music videos and whatever else. So he's come and he's like, I got opportunity for you lot. So we're like, oh, interested. What's this opportunity? But my man's come out with some long thing and it's all wrapped up. And I'm thinking, what is that? Bro, it's the biggest banger I've ever seen in my life. So he's like, oh, I need one of you lot to hold this for me, to like look after it in one of you lot house. Everybody's like put their head down. My head was down first, like to say, God, I'm not even here. So obviously the pressure's got put on his nephew first, like to say, yeah, go and put this in your house and look after it for a couple of days until I come back and get it. So anyway, he gave it to him and he's driven off, you know, loud music following behind him. So we've all had the good idea of digging a hole in the back of the bushes and like burying it or whatever. So we've buried it now and he's come back a few days later and my man, he's off the ends and his uncle's called him to say, come. So he's come. Nobody wants to tell him that we've buried it. So we're all just chilling like to say, all right, cool, whatever. When he's come, the uncle ain't even asked where it is. My man's come down on his moped and his uncle just pushed him off the moped and started kicking him on the floor, like to say you already knew that we, you know what I mean? So we're all having a mad time now. We don't want to get involved because he's a big man and it's his uncle, family business and whatever. So we've just left it at that. But yeah, all that to say, that's what we're being exposed to, you know. And this is why I wanted to talk in today's episode about exposure, what you're exposed to, what your circle's like, and you got to be intentional about who you want to be around and who you want to have influencing you and who you want to be teaching you ways. Do you know what I mean?
That experience, was that your first experience like that? Or you had similar kind of experiences on that sort of level before that, after? Like, how did that sort of impact on you?
But I think, praise the Lord, that was an enigma. That wasn't an everyday experience for me. So, but it just let me know very early what is possible, what's out there. And I didn't even have to go far. That was on my estate. I lived there. As soon as I opened my front door, that's what I'll be exposed to. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. As I'm coming up now, years after that, it's making me know when I'm meeting people what's possible in the negative way. And even to be fair, that's probably why I didn't even want to meet new people so easily, because you don't know what they're bringing.
Yeah, do you know what? It's funny because as you said, like, even though it was an enigma, and I've got one or two stories, but I ain't got many. But the thing is, the comparison between that massive negative story, I haven't, on the flip side, growing up, I haven't really got the massive positive story to tell, to sort of kind of balance that. So it's kind of crazy that, you know, the areas that we grow up in, you experience these negativity, and without the kind of balance, it sort of normalizes that sort of thing. And you can't see the other side sometimes, in terms of the positive. You can't see, like, growing up, going into my 20s, and in terms of trying to find a career, and you're just thinking about, all you can see is the jobs that you've seen growing up. And growing up and thinking, wow, I don't really think about bankers and doctors and lawyers, because it just wasn't around at all. So even though those negative impacts might be small, I think the worst thing about it is when you don't have that sort of counterbalance and them kind of interactions. Yeah. I think it's easier if you've had that. Like if you see a trapper or whatever it is and you had that negative experience, but on the flip side, there's a lawyer, there's a doctor in the end that's driving a big car, then I think that's helpful, and I think a lot of us missed out on that.
Well, it sounds funny, but I think the only flip side to it was when my friend, he was like doing scams, and he introduced me to Bitcoin. And I remember I bought some Bitcoin, not to do that, but just to, because I had to send some money and do whatever stuff. But I swear at one point I had like 7 Bitcoin. But even to say that, it wasn't even a lot then, but imagine I held on to that, or I even knew what Bitcoin was. I don't think it was 7 Bitcoin. I think it was more like 70 Bitcoin. I can't remember, but something mad. But if I had 1 Bitcoin right now, I'd be laughing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me, when I saw about the power of circles was at secondary schools. I moved to Isle of Dogs, so it was a predominantly like white area, and leaving from secondary school, going into sort of jobs and careers. Obviously, the people I know, like the black and brown people, we all got our CVs ready and was hitting the ground trying to go to McDonald's and wherever, JD, trying to get a job with the CVs. But a lot of the white boys I was around, going to the pub, their dads was in construction or whatever it is. So I know my brethren from 16, he was working in a window shop, selling windows and fitting windows. And it's like, so from there, I saw the power of your circle. So yeah, and I think a lot of people are lacking that as well, in terms of just that network and that power.
The nepotism.
Nepotism, word. I don't even know the word.
Yeah.
I was a big man before I knew the word nepotism.
That was the nepotism. Yeah. So it's weird because I didn't know about networking, I would say, until later on in life. I think the word before networking was begging it. You know what I mean? If you didn't know somebody and you're there trying to get involved with them or whatever, he was like, no, why you just a beg it thing?
Yeah, and I think that's why we see it as begging it, is because a lot of times the people around us haven't got much to offer. So to ask someone that ain't got much, you are sort of begging it. Whereas if you're around people that have things to offer, they've got jobs, they've got whatever it is, it's not so much begging because they've got things available. And I think for us, we don't have that around that. And I think for us, we saw people that didn't have a lot, so asking for anything felt like begging.
Oh, 100%. But going back to what you was just saying as well, when I'm at work certain times, when I'm speaking to these people, they're telling me that their local job centre was the pub.
Yeah.
They'll go to the pub, they'll have a few pints or whatever, they'll get to talking to people, they're like, oh, what's happening? Oh, I just lost my job or whatever. Yeah, no, you ain't. You got a job on Monday. Come to my office or come to my building, come to my job, and that's how people are getting work.
And it's funny, to this day, that the people around me, there's no network, there's no connection in people's jobs and careers. This one does that one does that one does that. And there's no, I don't know anyone that are in the same line of work or can really help. I suppose now more people in social care and things like that. And I have seen people help people in terms of getting into social work and stuff like that. But for the most part, I don't think we have that. And I think it's important to build that with whatever your community is. I mean, I focus on the Caribbean community because that's the one I know the most. I don't think we have that. And I think we need to establish sort of those kind of whether jobs and careers and businesses where you can actually help people and put people in place.
But I think the difference is that other communities have businesses, so they do the hiring and firing. We have jobs where we have to ask our boss or get an application form for our friend or whatever else. I think that's what's slightly different about it.
Well, saying that, I remember when I started in my job, account management and sales, and that's the first time introduced into working from home. I'm not one of the new guys when it comes to working from home. I was working from home 5 years before COVID. So I remember when I got my job, and I was speaking to the manager, and he was like, "Yeah, now on Fridays you can work from home." In my head, I was like, "No way! What? I'm home and I'm working." Like no one was doing that. No one I know. Everyone that work in the office every day, they're in the office. So for me, getting into that job and seeing that career and just seeing the flexibility and the freedom within working from home or even driving to meetings and things like that. And I did try and get people into that career. He was one of them. But I think, again, even for us, in terms of networking and following people, I think it's alien to us as well. And I think it's hard to, even when someone tries to show you something, I think when you don't see people following other people's paths, I think it's hard to do that. When someone tries to show you something, it's hard for us to see and go, no, do you know what? I can trust to follow that person's path because I've seen other people follow someone else's path.
Well, I was reading something today and it was saying that the easiest way to learn something is if it resonates with what you've experienced before. So if you've had no experience with it before, it's so hard to learn something new. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it takes exposure and previous exposure or pre-exposure to a certain situation to get understanding of what's going forward or what's happening next.
No, that's so true, because you know what? There's a lot of things that I think I'm open to, but I realise I shut a lot of things down. If I'm not exposed to it before, then I do shut a lot of things down. So yeah, that is very true. I know. I try and show, in terms of like finances and things like that, I try and show people certain things when it comes to saving or certain things to do. I remember, I think I told you about it. So I do something called Quidco with a cashback. And with Quidco, I've been with Quidco for over 5 years now. And I've earned, just from spending money that I would have spent anyway, just going to the shop and whether it's Argos or Amazon, spending the money, buying things that I would have bought anyway, I've earned cashback, whether it's 2%, 3%. From holidays, I've earned £50, £60 just cashback on holidays. So over the years, I've earned over £1,000, nearly on my way to £2,000 on cashback with Quidco. So I remember I've gone, now, do you know what? I need to start putting people on. So I've gone in my family's group chat, put Quidco in the family group chat, said, yeah, now, hi guys. Obviously, not a big message, but you know, I didn't say it, but you know me. You get me? I don't put scams in the group chat. I'm hardly in the group chat. So I put Quidco in. I said, listen, I've earned over £1,000 from, all I said was, yeah, listen, this is Quidco, join up. I've earned £1,000 just from cashbacks from buying things I would have bought. Listen, the The skepticism was crazy. They put a scavenger in the group chat.
Yeah, that's how it goes. So if you've got no experience with it before and you've been banned by certain things before, then yeah, you're not open to new things.
No,
I've made money on Quidco. Since you told me about it, I have made some money on it. The holidays is the big thing, and I think insurance is a big one as well.
Yeah, now for me, in terms of Quidco, I think the biggest area where I've made money is holidays, especially hotels, booking hotels, and insurance, car insurance. I ain't so much on car insurance because I've got a company car, but landlord insurance, property insurance. So yeah, definitely recommend Quidco.
And big them up still. They're not paying us, so let's move on from that one there. But have you heard the saying, show me your circle and I'll show you who you are?
Some people say the saying goes a bit different, but yeah, I heard that one still.
Yeah, you have to correct it if you know it. But the way I understand that message is, if you're around people that are negative, not open to opportunities, stuck in their ways, that's how you're gonna be, and that's a limitation, and that's a limitation on you, and it's a limited mindset, I try to be an open person. I am not great at making new friends, do you know what I mean? But I feel like I am open to new opportunities. Like even going back to the snowboarding, I remember when you first brought it to me, I said, I ain't coming. It's probably cold and it's got nothing to do with what I normally deal with. But luckily the price changed my mind. So when you said that, look how much it's a little cheap thing, that's when I realised, all right, cool, I'm involved, let's go. But I'm glad that happened now because I feel like that's what we should be doing every year.
Yeah, now I think as we've got older, I think that has opened our eyes to different things and we're more open to things. But yeah, I think as a young person, I think your circle does heavily influence you. And I think my biggest influence in terms of my circle, not so much in terms of career and work-wise, because I think I've always had my own mind and my own goals and my own ambitions when it comes to that. But I think in terms of my circle, where it has impacted me the most is in terms of my relationships and my dealings with the opposite sex. And I think as a group of boys growing up, I think we didn't have, you talk about exposure and what you're around, your environment. A lot of us and the boys that I was around, we didn't have the two-parent households. So we didn't see mum and dad and how they raise each other. So I think when it comes to that sort of thing, so much as my dad was around, my dad ain't going to be showing me, like, cool, this is how I treat women. So I think a lot of us as boys, we just raise each other when it comes to relationships and interacting with women. And yeah, that influenced me highly. And I think not even on a negative thing, but that's boys teaching boys. It's the blind pulling the blind.
I'm not going to lie, my friends teaching me with women was horrible.
No, I shouldn't even lie.
No, I got a lot of apologising to do, I'm not even going to lie. But when it comes to exposure, on the flip side, on the better side, is I got to big my wife up. Because before I met my wife, my passport had expired. Do you know what I mean? I'm 24 and I've met this girl and she's like, let's travel. And I ain't travelled for God knows how long, you know what I mean? So I was even embarrassed to say to her, I need to renew my passport. So anyway, I think that the same month I've met her, we've gone Spain.
Oh,
Crazy. So we're in Spain, we're living life, we're on the beach. I learned two Spanish words, and then I realised that the locals don't take to black people too much. So after big her up, and I think I've travelled twice a year minimum since. So 100%. I got exposed to my wife and she exposed me to holidays. Sick.
Yeah, now in terms of exposure and seeing new circles, I think holidays are number one. And going back to Isle of Dogs, I remember living in Isle of Dogs, Docklands, East London. I know a lot of the boys, they didn't even leave that little island. It's not even an island. It's landlocked, but they call it Isle of Dogs. But I know enough boys that the whole family lived on the island. They didn't leave it. That was their whole circle. That's all they saw. They didn't even travel in North London, maybe little Central London. So yeah, I think for me, a big part of what for my identity was going on holiday. So I big up my parents for that.
Well, it's funny, you know, because I've got friends that don't travel regular, and I've got friends that do travel regular, and you can almost tell from their mindsets and how they are and what they're open to, whether they travel or not, which I think is quite weird. And I think I was definitely more stuck in my ways before I started traveling.
Was traveling done for you in terms of just opening your eyes to different things?
I just saw people doing different things. Do you know what I mean? I saw that people take their children on holiday. I didn't even know that was a thing. I saw people took their children on holiday. I saw different things. I saw people living in poverty, happy, running up and down. Some kids with no shoes on, running up and down.
Yeah, you see that experience in terms of poverty and how people deal with it. I think it's something you have to. No one can't tell you about it. I can't tell you about it because it's something you have to experience yourself. Because a lot of times when people think about our children that are happy in poverty and haven't got much, I think they think in terms of the pity side of it and be grateful for what you have. But when you experience it in the flesh and you see that's genuine happiness. It's not even, there's no pity there because they're genuinely happy, happier than the people that you know around you. So I think there's something that no one can't tell you about it. It's something you got to witness and do it for yourself.
I think a lot of the things that I've got from traveling has been subconscious as well. I think I couldn't even probably put my hand on whatever it is that has changed in me. It's just that I've been open now. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think a powerful experience for me in terms of going back to circles was when I went to Gambia. Going back a few years, I went to Gambia. I was with a mentoring group because we used to do mentoring group, youth in Wood Green. It's that same community centre youth group. We went to Gambia for 2 weeks. So I was doing a bit of mentoring with the Gambian youth in schools and just people in the village. But our house that we stayed in, like an Airbnb, it was in the middle of the village. So it was a big house, it had a big courtyard. So a lot of people were just in and out of the village, just within our courtyard. We just chill there, have tea, whatever. And the people, the Gambian men, obviously they would just chill, have their tea, whatever, chat. But there was just a comfortability, in terms of expression, emotion and love. I remember just sitting there, we were just chilling, and it was like my last night. And we're just reasoning about our experiences together. And I was like, thank you. And I was saying, I love you. And I was like, that was... I think nowadays we're a bit more comfortable with it. But going back a few years, and I suppose with people you know closely, saying love is one thing. But these are people I just met and saying, I love you and all them things. And I think, again, it's just, again, in your circle, that's just alien to your circle and being in other environments and seeing that was definitely something that was powerful for me.
Yeah. Well, exposure is very important because I've been exposed to, I would say, the creative world. You know, my friend is a filmmaker. I've been around some rappers and all kinds of things. And I think even the fact that I've got the opportunity to make this podcast, I think, is the fact that I've been exposed to these creative people.
No, 100%.
Yeah, because I think if it was my old friends and I said to them, listen, I'm starting a podcast, they would have shut that down quickly. You know what I mean? And I got a big up C as well, because when I said to him I wanted to start a podcast, he was on it straight away. He was like, yeah, let's go. Let's get it done. So, yeah, exposure. And then even my daughter's here now. Yeah, I'm trying to expose you to this creative world. You know what I mean? So, I've been saying to her, get a camera. You know what I mean? Start filming, start shooting stuff. I bought a DJing decks to start DJing.
What's happening with the DJing stuff, Sienna? I'm waiting to book you. What's going on?
No, I'm not in the podcast.
So
you are now.
Yeah. So yeah. So if I can expose her to creativity, then yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, no, as you said, I think definitely your circle that you're in now has definitely opened this up as a possibility, because I think before, without that, this is alien. This is alien, and you don't even, the connections are not there. Because right now, yeah, podcasting is alien to me. I don't have the circle that you've got. So yeah, I think without that, it just never would have happened.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's important to have an open mind, think creatively, and be around people that are like-minded.
Yeah, no, so I think from that, as we said, touched on in terms of travel, if you can travel, and if you can't travel, whether it's finances or people around you, open up yourself to new experiences within your local area. Try new things. For me, whether it's sports related or dance, like salsa, that's on the, I need to get into my salsa. But yeah, there's a salsa club in South London, I can't remember what it's called now, I need to jump on that. But yeah, just open up yourself to new experiences, new people, new circles.
No, 100%. Well, it's weird, you know, because when I go out, I've got a bad habit of not introducing myself properly. So I know there's loads of people out there that have met me and they don't even know my name. So they'll probably see me again and be like, oh yeah, there's my man. Like, what's happening, my man? So I think my new thing is to, when I introduce myself to people, like, what's happening? I'm Jason. And I think that's a big thing, you know, because now the next time they meet me, there's a foundation. They know my face, they know my name, they know I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, no, that's massive, because next time they meet you, that feeling of, I don't even know my man's name. The fact that they will remember your name it makes that greeting the second time around a lot easier. So nah, I hear that.
Yeah, well, I think I learned it from a young age, because I remember back in the day, the last thing you wanted was somebody to know your name. Because when they're talking to the police or whatever, you don't want to say, that's my man. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's my thing anyway. When I'm introducing myself, do it properly. Well, this has been Added Value Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and carry on trying to find ways to add value.
Peace. Love. Big up.
Peace.